Here are my top 5 modifications that I've done to this L322 to make it, in my opinion, one of the best L322 overlanding vehicles on the planet. So is it one of the best L322 overlanding vehicles on the planet? I'm not sure, but I think it's pretty damn close. So I want to go through sort of 5 things that I've done to this vehicle since I've had it 9 months ago that I believe has really sort of taken it to the next level. So in no specific order, let's look at the first thing I would do to take this to the next level, and that is change your tires. Ditch the road tires, or the road-based tires, the low profile, and go to something with a little bit more aggressive grip. Now, when these were built, the type of tire range that we had was very low profile. So this came with both 19 and 20-inch wheels. This is sitting on 20s. These are L405 alloy rims. Since I changed this over to all-terrains, these are Coopers. These are 275, 55, 20s. It has transformed the vehicle off-road as well as on-road. It is far more planted than it was with normal road-based tires. So the first thing I would highly recommend if you want to take one of these off-road is get a set of all-terrain tires. Now, don't get caught up in the, you need 16-inch, you need 18-inch. Trust me, this thing has been through a lot of different terrains, from rocks to sand to gravel. It's even been through snow. Not a lot, but it's been through snow. And these have outperformed anything that you could possibly put on this vehicle. So number 1, get a set of all-terrain tires. Now number 2 is, in my opinion, you need something to store things on the roof. Now, there are plenty of people that will say, center of gravity, stop putting stuff up there, don't bother with it. Finding a decent roof rack that fits the L322 without getting a G4 is very difficult. The only one you can find in Europe is the Land Rover Passion, which is on here. So I would highly recommend getting a roof rack. Now, whether you put a rooftop tent on it, whether you use it to put recovery gear, whatever you need, it does unleash some of the load space capabilities of the vehicle. It enables you to put more things on the top. Bear in mind, you've got to be careful of weight and things like that. But I believe, these cars do not have a lot of load space in the back. You cannot put a lot of gear in it. So having a roof rack allows you to put a lot more kit on the roof to free up space inside the vehicle. So number 3, I think when you take these vehicles off-road, you need to have solid recovery points. Now, regardless of whether you go down the winch route, which I won't recommend, I just don't see the point in putting winches on these vehicles, make sure you have strong recovery points. So on the L322, the recovery point, I don't believe has changed from when it was first released to when it ended its life. So that recovery point has always been there. Over the 3 different variations of the facelifts, it became covered, or there was a cover that you pulled off, or on mine, which is a 2010, there was a full plastic trim that covered the front. So I've removed mine to expose the recovery hook, and I've painted mine red. So that's mine on the front. So on the rear, in the center, this is a Westphalia factory installed tow hitch. I have a factor 55 pin and a factor 55 soft recovery shackle. Now, if anything happens, I have a shackle already in here. I don't leave this on all the time. I can pop it on and off. With the Westphalia hitch, there is a recovery point over here. Again, I painted it red just in case it gets covered in mud and I can get easy access to it. So I've actually got 2 recovery points on the back should the vehicle need to be pulled out. So number 3, get some strong recovery points. Get some shackles, whether they're soft or whether they're metal. but make sure you've got good, strong recovery points. Now, I love big lights. There is a limit of how many lights you can put on these types of vehicles because you have to run the wiring. But I have two ARB Intensity Solace spotlights. These are 9-inch, they've got 36 LEDs. And the great thing about the intensity is you can adjust the intensity of the light. You can go full on and then gradually scale back the light to you just have the outer rims of the LEDs. So that's number one for lights. Number two, if you look at my fog lights, the fog lights from the factory are white. And I bought this covering called Lamin-X and then just covered the fog light lenses with Lamin-X amber cover to give me that amber fog light view. On the front, with the HIDs and the LEDs on the high beam, I believe I have an awful lot of light. I don't need to go any further. I don't need to be putting lights on the light bar. I've got enough. But lighting is something you need to look at, especially if you're in dusty conditions or you want to do some night wheeling. Upgrade your lights. So if you don't want to go down the route of adding in spotlights, and these are on a factory kit, then I'd highly recommend upgrading your HIDs, check them to see if they're cloudy, put some new ones in, and then put the LED in your high beam. The other thing I'd recommend, these vehicles are now 12 years old. If you look at the lenses, that one is a brand new lens. That one is 12 years old. You can clearly see that that one is pitted, it's chipped, that one is nice and clear. So one simple trick is to go buy some lenses. They're about £75 from Powerful UK. Take them to a shop, they heat them up, they take them off, they put the new ones on, they bond them in, you're good to go. It probably takes about half an hour for you to take the headlight out, put it back in, but this will do a really good job of upgrading your headlights. New lenses, you might be able to buff them out, but I would recommend getting brand new lenses in. So one thing that lets this car down and begins to show its age is the lack of USB charging points. As standard, there are only two. There's one in the cubby box and there's one in the load space. And I think they're only 2 amp. They're not pulling a lot of current to be able to charge your devices quickly. And they're the old USB-A plugs. A lot of devices now are on USB-C. The other problem you've got is where do you actually put your phone? 12 years ago, the types of phones we had, a lot of the Range Rovers actually had an option to put your phone in there and charge it there. So I have something called 67 Designs Series 55 rail. This is a 100mm rail and it has these balls on them and allows you to put an iPhone mount or a phone mount on an arm on this rail. Now this is actually screwed into this trim. It was already scuffed anyway, so 2 self-tapping screws hold this in, and then I run a USB cable from the glove box into my phone. When I need navigation, I have a 67 Designs rail and a iPad mini mount, and if you can see over here, there is a 67 Designs Series 55 300mm rail. Now why is that there? Now that gives me the ability to mount a iPad mini. I can add a GoPro, and then I also have the ability to put my Garmin InReach Mini in there. Some of the trails I go on, it doesn't have cell service, mobile service, and I Bluetooth from my Garmin InReach into my Mini so I can continue following trails and using it for navigation. Now, because we all rely on this sort of mobile technology, Google Maps, Wikilocks, Gaia GPS, you need somewhere to put all of your gear. To me, this is the only place that I can put it, and this is actually screwed in with 3 self-tapping screws right into the plastic trim. And it's a perfect way of being able to run all of that tech up out of the way, and you can see it when you're driving. So if you see I'm driving here, I can clearly see the tech that needs to go there. So I can see my Gaia GPS on my iPad mini, and then if I have a GoPro going, And then I've got a spare ball there if I need to put another mount. Highly recommend 67 Designs. They're not cheap, but they are the best on the market, and it's the only option I can find for an L322 that would give me access to all of the comms that I need. So I'd highly recommend updating all of this type of kit. So this is an AutoVox V5 Pro. This is a digital rear view camera. And what this allows me to do is this can see directly over the back of my shoulder, out the rear, without having any obstruction between what I've got in the vehicle and my load space. Now my load space is covered full of gear. It's also got a back on it, so even if you had a normal mirror, you wouldn't be able to see out the back. So this bypasses all of that and gives me a clear view out the back of the vehicle. Now this is a dash cam as well, both front and rear, and there's a 258 gig SD card in here that allows you to do, download all of your footage. It's also got a couple of other features. It's packed full of tech that I just haven't turned on. It's got a GPS receiver, so you can actually track all the trails. You take the card out, it will show you all of the routes you've been on. It also has the ability to do things like lane departure. So out the front, it will see whether you're moving in and out of lanes, and it'll beep at you. And it will also, you can change the screens here where you can have the speed appear as well. I don't use any of that functionality. Really all I use it for is dash cam and then also the digital rear view. But I would highly recommend switching out your original L322 to one of these. Now if you have a 2010 model like I do, on the back of the original is a monitor, and this does the high beam assist. Now I tried it for a period of time, and quite honestly it got annoying because I don't believe it was up to par. If you were driving along dark roads, it would automatically set the high beam for you, and if it saw a car coming, it would dip it. You lose that functionality with this because the sensor is in the original rear view mirror. So just bear in mind, if you go for this upgrade and you have a 2010 that has the high beam assist, you will lose that functionality. You won't lose anything such as automatic lights on and off. So if you go through a tunnel and you've got your headlight set to auto, that's still working, and I believe that's coming off a sensor at the bottom here. AutoVox V5 Pro, absolutely love this. Had it in the Defender, got it in the L322. Excellent mod. But one of the mods that really bring this vehicle up to date, in my opinion, is upgrading all the incandescent bulbs to LEDs. There's plenty of kits out there. I believe Powerful UK and the UK have one, but you can find them on eBay. Just be careful again to get good quality LEDs. Make sure that they support the CAN bus so you don't get errors with them. As I mentioned, I bought an original pack off of eBay. They were about 26 quid, and almost all of them started flashing. The second set that I bought were a little more expensive, and I've not had any of these issues. But I would highly recommend updating these incandescent bulbs to LEDs. They're quite simple to do. Get a little trim tool, you can pull all these out, and in most cases you can pop the bulbs and get access to the LEDs from the bottom. And that includes all the footwell lights, all the door lights. When you open the doors, there's lights at the back of the doors and the bottom of the doors, and then also on these side panels. These LEDs here. Now I could go through the other upgrades I've done to this car, the rock sliders, the Navi Plus to give me Apple CarPlay, but those things are quite expensive. The things that I've given you here are, in my opinion, brings this vehicle into a really good, solid overland vehicle. You're not wanting for anything, you have everything you could possibly want to unleash this vehicle. And as mentioned before, tires, most important. Change your tires from road-based to all-terrains and you will unleash 50% of the capabilities of this vehicle. It is phenomenal off-road. The most important thing is it's phenomenally comfortable and capable. Once you change your tires, you will be amazed at what this vehicle can do. So I've hoped you've enjoyed this. If you've got any other ideas of what you believe are other modifications that should be put on these vehicles, let me know. Comments down below. And with that, I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.